Hello mga katribu and welcome to another episode of Pairfect. I'm Francine Marquez.
And I am Alvin, Kasiban, and for today's episode, we are joined by someone who is continents away from us. She dominates a career in advertising and technology with 15 years of experience in global strategic partnerships. Wow, yeah.
Yes, and because of her extensive digital expertise, she is a trusted advisor for brand and agency marketers and top-grossing publishers.
And if we were to list down all of her expertise, we'll never get this show done. Yeah. Credentials na talaga eh.
Yes.
So without further ado, let's welcome Rakuten Viber's Chief Revenue Officer, Cristina Constandache. Hello, ma'am. Sorry.
Hi everyone.
Christina.
Hello, Cristina. How are you?
Good. That was so nice. Actually, I could keep on listening to you.
Well, hello. Thank you for making the time for this interview and welcome from the other side of the world.
Thank you. Although from what I hear, it's much better to be in Manila right now.
Well, yes, the weather is quite sunny.
Yeah.
Summer season.
Summer season here in the Philippines.
Exactly.
But tell us, where are you exactly right now?
Are you in the office or?
And I think it's morning there right now.
It's morning. So I'm in the UK, I'm in London. And like a lot of us, we're working a lot from home, I have to say. Because it's something that the pandemic unfortunately accelerated. And we've seen ourselves change the daily routine to accommodate a more flexible working schedule.
So speaking of the pandemic now that we are currently experiencing, and while you, ma'am, are staying at home, working at home because of the effects of the pandemic, and how was life for you since the COVID-19 pandemic started, and how did it change your personal and work routines? Because as we can see, as we all know, working in a company like Viber, for sure is tedious, especially you with your position here, ma'am.
And demanding.
Yes.
Because we're all heavy users all over the world.
Yeah.
This is what we like to hear. Well, I have to say that for me, particularly, the pandemic didn't change that much. Okay, I was going a lot more into the office before. Now it's a little bit more flexible. But for the past many years at Viber and before, I've had teams international all over the world. So actually, we've always had the tools that enabled us to connect and to stay closer together. Of course, Viber being first and foremost, but also our internal tools that allowed us to connect even if we couldn't meet face to face. So apart from cutting down on traveling, which is not necessarily a bad thing sometimes, I have to say that I've connected remotely with just as many as my teams as before. So in that sense, it wasn't a big change. But of course, the teams themselves, they found they couldn't go to the office anymore, so they had to adapt to a different working style where the interactions were virtual rather than in person. And we all know that we lose something when we can't meet in person. So that's the biggest drawback, of course. But hopefully things are going back to normal little by little.
Well, that's good to know. Cristina, you have over 15 years of experience in the industry. Tell us, did you feel prepared when the pandemic happened? And how did you navigate the impact of COVID-19?
Did anyone feel prepared?
Well, actually.
Exactly. But like I said, so because I was used to dealing with remote teams, let's say that I had experienced some of the flexibility and adaptability that you need in order to put up with this new challenge. What we've seen happening is that we had to change some of the products and some of the features that we're offering in order to respond to this ever-changing reality, because things were changing so quickly from one day to another that you couldn't really plan. So the solutions that we provide at Viber had to be fine-tuned to answer the users' needs, personal users for personal engagement, but also business needs, because of course a lot of businesses were closed, so you had to find a way as a business and as a consumer to connect. So a trend that had already been started years ago had accelerated tenfold during the pandemic, because obviously most of the users, whoever you ask around the world, 70% of users said that they use their devices a lot more than during the same period before the before the pandemic started. So of course, it made us take a step back and look at how we're doing things and what features we can offer to our users in order to enhance their personal communication, and precisely to bridge the gap as much as we can, of course, that the physical interactions have left.
Okay, Cristina. So you mentioned earlier that the type of work, the demands that the pandemic brought to you guys there in Viber increased by tenfold. I'm now curious how you guys there in Viber handled this problem while also adjusting with a new setup working from home. And I'm curious how did you guys handle it when in terms of efficiency, and how you handled it, since of course you also mentioned that working in a setup where in an office setup is very different when working work from home, and you can only interact with your staff, with your employees through online. In the digital world, how did that affect, and how did you bridge, like you said, bridge that problem?
I think it all starts with trust at the end of the day. Realistically speaking, not being able to see my team every day, it means that I had to trust them completely, which had been the case before, because like I said, in my particular case, my teams were scattered all over the world anyway. But what we've seen with our departments in the company is that given that people couldn't meet, a lot of team leaders and managers and everybody at their own level had to trust the people that they work with a lot more, and to in order to get things done. And then being mindful of personal space, and the fact that when you're working from home, you can't have the same focus, and you can't have the same space, physical and intellectual, that you have in the office. So trusting people to get things done, looking at the results much more than how we're doing things, is like what we are achieving, was key for me in the pandemic. Ultimately, if somebody, due to their personal circumstances, felt more comfortable to work outside the traditional working hours, and they were achieving the results that they were supposed to, there was no problem with that. I mean, again, you have to be mindful and respectful of people's personal circumstances, and look at the results, and support them rather than monitor their activity, which has never been my style anyway. But now this was clearly, taken to the next level. So trust, and then it goes without saying, giving people the tools to connect and be able to do their job properly. So not only allowing them to talk to each other through Viber, but giving them the right access to the internet, the right access to the tools, having a work setup at home that is as close to the one in the office as possible.
And now, Cristina, since we all know Viber grew during the pandemic, especially since people longed to connect because of the isolation of staying in quarantine. How did Viber enhance that need amongst users across the world to reach out and feel not so alone while remaining to be productive?
We can, like I was saying, there are two directions here that we consider. We're looking at the tools for the users, for the consumers, and we're looking at the tools for consumers to connect with businesses, which is a different type of interaction than the one-to-one. When it comes to the one-to-one in a personal space level, when it comes to the tools for the consumers, with enhanced features like video calling, group chats, sharing photos, stickers. So entertainment tools, if you want me to define them like that, that allow people to connect and have fun, and to replicate as close as possible the in-person experience. Which is why actually we also launched Viber Lenses, to make sure that the conversations are engaging, and remain at the heart of everything we do. And that led us to some pretty record-breaking numbers, like I was saying. I mean, we've seen over 500 billion messages being sent last year alone. And last year, it was the second year of the pandemic already, if I'm not mistaken, because I lost track of time. So the first year, the increase was just insane. And other entertainment tools like the stickers, for example, Philippines being a huge consumer of stickers, if I may say so. We're talking about around 15 billion stickers.
Wow, that's a lot.
And over 15 million Viber lenses. Bearing in mind that Viber lenses is a product that was launched second half of last year. And then when it comes to calls and messages, I mean, we have 36 billion calls that lasted over 3 billion hours. So it's numbers that I can't even write down. If somebody asked me to write this down, I don't think anybody can. So that's what the consumers. We really try to give them the tools in order to replicate face-to-face interaction. And then when it comes to the businesses, like I said, everywhere in the world, of course, businesses have to shut down, and we all found ourselves buying online, probably a little bit too much, but still buying online, and then wanting to return things or having questions about the things that we bought, which is why we heavily invested in what we call conversational commerce, where ultimately businesses can connect or contact their customers through Viber directly, and allow their customers to also start the conversation with the business outside the typical business hours, because ultimately that's the key thing. When you have a digital channel, you want to make sure that as a customer or as a consumer, you are able to contact your business whenever you want, 24/7. So we did that through business messaging, and interacting with brands and giving them a channel that they could use on Viber. So conversational commerce is something that we have started in other parts of the world. It's something very dear to my heart because I don't know about you, but I hate spending time online looking for contact information for a business. It's just if somebody wants to punish me, they let me look for airline contact information, which for some reason is very well hidden. So conversational commerce allowed everybody to do just that, to find the business that they need to contact easy at the tip of their fingers, and solve the issues that they may have, or get recommendations, or help, or answer questions. So everything you'd expect from a business that wants to take good care of you.
Wow, how amazing!
How amazing!
That, Viber was able to make the world, was part of making the world go round.
Yeah, and bridging people together, and even though they're isolated.
Despite the pandemic, no?
Yeah, the numbers you mentioned are, I think, was it overwhelming for you guys? Because those are a lot of traffic coming in to Viber.
In terms of our servers, it wasn't overwhelming, thank God. It was a good thing. But yeah, we were very, very happy when we saw the usage, because it meant that these investments and the choices that you make, of course, whenever you have a product, you need to make some choices as to what are you going to continue to invest in, were the right ones. And ultimately, what we want is to make our users happy and to answer a real need. I mean, messaging has been around for a really long time, and everybody can do messaging at the end of the day. But doing messaging in such a way that in a completely unique circumstance, because I don't think anybody has experienced a pandemic like this before, answers most personal needs of our users. I think that's extremely rewarding for us as a company.
That's for sure.
Wow. So we're just getting started, mga katribu, but before we continue with our interesting conversation, we'll take a short break. Pairfect will be back.
Stay tuned, guys.
Viber is the free and secure way to connect with friends and family, anywhere. Send messages and make phone and video calls for free. Download Viber now.
And everyone, welcome back to Pairfect. Still with us is the Chief Revenue Officer of Viber, Cristina Constandache. So, Cristina, communication between brands and consumers is constantly evolving, and that could only mean that business messaging is ever growing. Can you share with us how Viber is contributing to businesses amid the rise of conversational commerce?
For sure. So we had already started this conversation before, and I started thinking about conversational messaging and conversational commerce. Ultimately, what it means is that by using a messaging app, a brand could speak to its customers as if they were either face to face or friends or in a one-to-one relationship. A way that is much more natural and intimate, and that replicates again a face-to-face interaction. And the data reveals, and it's not data from Viber, it's data from the industry actually, that almost 90% of customers are ready to pay more for a greater customer experience. And we all know that little touch that makes us go back to a brand over and over again because we are very happy with the way that we were treated. And brands can use these channels now to drive conversations and to drive conversions actually through conversations in messaging apps. And if we're looking at Viber specifically, like I was saying, the tools that we have allow brands to send recommendation, help with orders, answer questions, both pre and post sales. And that's extremely important because it's not only during the pandemic, but overall, we know that there is nothing more frustrating for us as buyers than spending huge amounts of time looking for contact information on how to return something or an instruction manual, a user manual. So it's a hassle. Wherever you are in the world, it's a hassle, and everybody experiences the same pains. So allowing or giving brands and consumer a channel where they can do this in a direct way, it's ultimately the holy grail. It's holy grail for any brand, and it's the holy grail for any user. And we've seen these interactions increase a lot. I mean, we're looking at 112, 120% growth in delivered Viber messages in Philippines in 2021. When we know there were a lot of lockdowns, again, a lot of businesses that were restricted from welcoming their customers. And in terms of number of conversational business messages, it increased by almost 300% in Philippines alone. And this is a very strong indication that users are more inclined to have personal two-way communication with brands via Viber than any other channels. So yeah, it's been impressive, and it's something that it goes beyond just the business aspect. I mean, we've been talking about staying relevant and being useful in addition to everything else, which is why, because this is a pure utility feature that we believe adds relevance and ease of use and makes our users' life easier at the end of the day, we have decided to do a special promotion, if you want, where all the conversational messages for new and existing businesses are going to be free on Viber for at least 3 months, because we believe that two-way communication is the way to go, and we want to encourage the brands that are still a little bit maybe reluctant, or they don't know exactly how to tackle it, to test it and to understand and see for themselves the value that it can bring.
Wow, that would be such an advantage for our small to medium entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What do you think are the, well, maybe to those who has just set up a business, or they're just trying to lift off from where the pandemic took them, what are the advantages of Viber business messages, and what can business owners look forward to, especially the entrepreneurs and the SMEs?
Yeah, the SMBs is one sector that we're looking at, and it's clear that for them, cost is extremely important. I mean, let's not hide it. Having a business takes a lot of resources, requires a lot of investment, and the costs can be considered, especially when you have a new business. So it's very cost effective compared to the price of your typical, let's say, SMS even, or the resources and the budgets you need in order to invest in your own app that comes with messaging capabilities and CRM capabilities. So we offer all this through Viber. It's one unified channel where brands can send multiple types of messages, transactional, promotional, conversational, and it can be connected to a CRM tool, and it's making it easier for the customer and more efficient for the brand. It's obviously convenient to the users because the users get all the messages from brands in one place. So again, you don't have to switch through email, chatbot on a website, first-party app. So you have everything in one channel. The official business accounts are, let's say, verified, so users can be assured that they are speaking only with legit businesses. So everything is done by us manually, and you control the businesses that are signing up. So a business can also be reassured that no other brand is going to mislead the users by taking the same look and feel as themselves. Of course, the media interactions, because the messages that you are sending in a messaging app not only allow you to send a lot more characters than in a typical SMS. So we're comparing 140 characters in an SMS with 1,000 characters in a Viber message, without counting the images, the videos, the links that you can add, call to action. So you can make the message a lot more appealing and a lot more informative at the end of the day, because obviously you have a lot more room to express yourself as a brand. Last but not least, because we want to ensure that brands will be able to get their message across no matter what. If for whatever reason the user is outside the coverage area, and we know that Philippines with a lot of islands, the internet connection can be sketchy sometimes. So we ensure an SMS fallback, meaning that if the message for whatever reason is not delivered on Viber, then the same message can be delivered via SMS. The brand will not pay twice; they will only pay for the channel that delivers the message for them. So again, we're going back to cost effectiveness and managing the investment for SMBs, and also for big businesses as well, because we're looking at businesses, at banks that need advanced analytics, and that's something else that we offer, which is on top of what the traditional channels do. As a brand, you can easily see how many messages were delivered, opened, how many users, for example, were bothered by the message because maybe the message was not appropriate for them. So how many users have blocked you, everything that you might want to know. This exists as an available analytics. And last but not least, this goes without saying, all of these messages are end-to-end encrypted. None of this content is ever stored on our servers or is ever open to us in any way. So everything is in the device of the user and in the system of the brand. Viber is just the channel that is transiting the message, but we do not access any of this information in any way. Which, if you're talking to a bank, for example, and if a bank is sending me my bank statement or any other confidential information through any channel, I want to make sure that the channel is secure and that it cannot be hacked or can somebody else access this information, and that is key. So we take care of that as well. That's in our DNA at the end of the day. So it's not for this. It's always been the case. We are end-to-end encrypted, and we do not access any of the information, either in the private space or in the professional space.
All right. So, Cristina, I have a follow-up question on that. When in regards of the information of the users, and especially you just told us how easy it is for brands and MSMEs to utilize Viber as a messaging app in the operations of their businesses. So my follow-up here is, how can you assure the safety and security of those brands and small entrepreneurs using your app in their businesses, and how you can protect them from scammers, from hackers, from accessing, from frauds? Yes.
Of course. So this is a never-ending battle everywhere in the world, because by definition, fraud always evolves. Like I said, in Viber case, first of all, when we create what we call a official business account, these brands are validated manually by us, and they receive what it is a blue tick, meaning a sign of authenticity, which shows to users that the brand is trusted and verified, allowing for more secure and transparent communication, of course. It also requires efforts on our side to actually educate the users and tell them, okay, this is a verified account, because it's very easy for somebody else to create an account with the same name. But if you do not see the blue tick, that is not a verified account, and you are not supposed to trust it. Additionally, an official account will include information about the brand, like the logo, the address, the phone number, a short description of the business. So elements that will make the brand more recognizable. And then when it comes to the actual technology, and for this we can bring any of our tech experts to give a lot more information on this, the messages, like I was saying, are not stored on Viber servers. The connections are secure and they are HTTPS only. All the measures are undertaken to keep Viber experience safe. Encryption in transit is used when messages are sent, not by an individual, but through a brand's platform using an API protocol. And as soon as the message is sent or it's in transit, it's encrypted, and it's only decrypted once it reaches the messaging app's backend system. So when it lands on the user device, then the user can see it. So in transit, we do not access this information anyway. Nobody at Viber can do that, and therefore no other third parties can do it, because it's not stored anywhere for them to hack into a system and say, okay, now I'm reading all the messages. So it's something that we take very, very seriously, and maybe we didn't speak enough about it as us as a brand, because there are lots of companies out there and players, claiming to be safe and secure and end-to-end encrypted, and unfortunately, when you take a closer look at the technology, it's not necessarily the case. So it's more of a marketing story. Whereas in our case, because this is how Viber was built from day one, maybe we have not spoken enough about it. So It's something that we're looking to rectify, because we were based on a technology that ensure that none of this data would ever be accessible by us or any third party, and that's not just a marketing line. So yes, it's something that is very close to our hearts again, and it's something that we pay a lot of attention to.
Well, no, that's very reassuring for the users of
the security,
Viber, the
especially
security.
if you're dealing with money,
Yeah.
transactions.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
so now, Christina, we'd like to learn more about you too. What would you say is your leadership style? How do you keep your team together, especially in the midst of a pandemic? How do you make sure that they do not get burnt out of just staying at home, working in the confines of their home, in which when we were working at the office, of course, for sure we get tired while working in the office, and the only sanctuary we are looking forward to have some rest, to relax, is our home. And now that we are in a work from home setup, the place you're expecting to be relaxed is also your place of doing your work. So how do you manage your employees, your team?
Okay.
Now in the
Like I said,
pandemic.
when it comes to monitoring the results, I try to manage by objective, meaning that I look at the results rather than looking at when and how these results are achieved. This was the case before, just because I didn't have the luxury to be physically in the same office with my teams. But now it's crucial, because now there is no other way to do it. If somebody doesn't reply to a message within 5 minutes, I'm not necessarily going to assume that they are not working. They are doing something else. They are going to reply, and when I get the answer, it's the quality of the answer that matters more than when and how and where they replied. In addition to that, of course, as a company, we have little perks and virtual get-togethers that we are doing, where we're sending people ice cream, or we're doing a virtual lunch, we're sending pizzas, we're doing little nice things like this. But the most important part is actually having a personal conversation with the team, with each and every member. And given that we spend so much time on Zoom, obviously, focusing on their personal life and how they are personally handling the pandemic and being at home, rather than having just a business debrief. And then identifying their wishes and how the company can meet them. So if somebody would like to get involved in different projects, if somebody wants to develop certain skills that don't necessarily go hand in hand with their daily job, but it's something that they are interested in, or they discovered a sudden interest in, I don't know, speaking Java, all sorts of skills that can go actually in the opposite direction of their daily operation. So being attentive and mindful to what people want when they are stuck at home, and intellectual stimulation is important for all of us, or any type of stimulation. I think that's key, because if you're just having a conversation about the business and so how many contracts you signed today, or how many clients, or how many emails you sent, this is very boring, and ultimately it doesn't bring a lot more value, because you do have the results that speak at the end of the day. But being interested in them as a person, and how you can help them advance and help them fulfill their potential, that I find a lot more valuable than just ticking boxes.
Well, as an organization consisting of people from various ages, cultures, and backgrounds, what do you think are the strengths of your team at Viber?
Diversity, for sure. So, like you said, we literally have, I think, all nationalities. We have over 20 nationalities, very different ages. So we're ranging from people in their early 20s to people in their even 50s. So a variety of age groups, a variety of backgrounds, a variety of nationalities. For me, that has always been very, very important, Obviously, I've been fortunate enough to be in an international environment. But today I wouldn't know how to work in a local environment anymore, because I think that the value comes from having different sets of people that you can learn from. First of all, even if as a manager you are exposed to different cultures and to different personalities, and you learn from that, and then some of the things that you haven't thought of or you haven't experienced directly, somebody else can teach you about it, and then you can apply this with a team member in a different part of the world that will probably never get to experience the same thing. So diversity is key, and allowing these people to interact freely. So trying to keep the structure as lean as possible without too many layers, and having mid managers, top manager, and half mid manager, half top managers, and all sorts of ranges of functions. Just keep it lean, keep it simple, and try to give people as much personal attention as you can.
Well, actually, I find diversity in workplaces very interesting, because just like what Cristina said, that the main thing that we can pick up in diversity is how we can learn, how the people can learn with each other, since they come from different kinds of backgrounds, they have different types of outlook on certain matters and experiences. Yes, and I think companies with a very diverse staff will benefit so much from these people. And yeah, since now this is getting so much interesting and we are learning so much that we'd like to know more, but before that we will take another break, so just stay with us, everyone.
You're still watching Pairfect. We're getting to know more about Cristina Constandache, of the Chief Revenue Officer of Viber. Cristina, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hi. You're a leader in your field. Can you share with us the secret to one's agility and growth in an otherwise competitive industry?
What can I say? It's try to be one step ahead, or try to anticipate what's going to happen, and be prepared with several options. If you set your goals by where your competition, your competitors, your personal competitors, some people might be looking at some personal competitors as well, you risk becoming stuck in a catch-up game, and that's never productive, because by the time you reach a milestone, the competition will have moved 3 steps ahead. So it's very much like surfing, funnily enough. So you ride the wave, and you try to understand where the danger or the challenge might be coming from. You have one direction, and we are just open to accept challenges. So thinking ahead, several steps is key for me. Also, it's a personal challenge, because we can't always imagine the future. Like I said, I think nobody could have imagined a pandemic. But when it happens, if you keep an open mind and you try to navigate the waters, it's probably one of the most helpful ways I have found of dealing with the unknown. So that's one thing. Apart from that, what can I say? Trying to listen to whoever your customers are. If we're talking about users in a messaging app, or in the digital field, or customer in a retail business, or in a banking business, or any type of business, try to understand their needs. Listen to what they are telling you. Listen to what they need. And sometimes actually people don't know how to voice what they need. So talking to them and letting them express themselves, and inferring their needs from there and meeting them, I think that's extremely helpful, and it's extremely valuable, because it's all about learning and it's all about receiving feedback. This is where, outside my personal development and what I've told you about myself, when you are with a business like Viber, what's important to me is to go beyond just the basic messaging features or one-to-one private as in personal communication, and look at how we can add more relevance and utility. I love this word, because things have to be useful, utility to people's life. And that's why something like conversational commerce, it's so important, because it's answering a specific, a very real need that all of us have, wherever we are based in the world. And having a messaging app become a super app that gives you tools that can enhance your day-to-day, in addition to tools that allow you to message your loved ones and keep in touch with your friends and family. That, for me, as someone working at Viber, is extremely relevant.
So actually, it's really nice to see how Viber evolved from a very young app into an app now that is serving a lot of people, a lot of purposes actually. Especially now when the pandemic started and it still connected a lot of people in the confines of their homes.
We live in a Viber world.
So yeah, Cristina, thank you very much. But before we let you go, can you give us some parting shots to our viewers? Maybe a call to promote something, or if you want to give the viewers some advice.
Or new products to look forward to.
Or new services also,
What can I say? I mean, today more than ever, staying on par with the changing needs of customer is an absolute necessity for a business. And for a customer, today more than ever, being able to easily communicate with businesses that you are interested in, it's an absolute must. So I would suggest to both users and businesses to not be paralyzed. Although it's a very strong word, by the unknown and the fact that today more than ever things are changing. The volatility of the market, things are changing very quickly from one day to another. So you can't be prepared for every possible contingency, but you can and should be prepared to change. So be prepared for change, keeping an open mind, trying to anticipate what's going to happen, and have several possible scenarios ready in the private space or in the personal life and in the business life, are some of the things that are very important to me personally, in the personal space and in the professional space. So change is the only thing that is constant at the end of the day. So that's the only thing that we can count on.
Yeah. To end on a much lighter note, we'll play a quick game with you, Cristina, to get to know more about you on a personal level. The game is called Fast Talk, where we present scenarios and you have to answer them as quickly as you can. Are you ready?
Okay. Challenge accepted.
Okay, thank you. So start, Alvin.
So the first question is, what is your favorite tech gadget?
My phone.
Okay, next. One thing on your bucket list.
Yeah. That you really want to do.
At least one.
At least one.
I've always said that I want to do bungee jumping for some reason.
Maybe we can upgrade that to skydiving.
Yes. Or bungee jumping.
I have a problem with planes. So
that's why.
Bungee jumping, so.
That's why.
Maybe bungee jumping.
Just go a bit lower.
Yes.
Bungee jumping in the Philippines, you have quite some beautiful places.
Yeah,
to
actually,
do that.
especially near beaches.
I know Philippines is great for that. So already I have to visit some more of your islands. But yes. That's on the bucket list there. Let's go to an island in Philippines.
Yeah, you have to go back.
Upgrade the bucket list.
All right. So if you're given 15 minutes of fame, what would you do with it?
50 minutes of?
Of fame. 50
minutes of fame. Oh, I don't like fame. I prefer to be powerful, but not famous.
Good answer.
Good answer.
And what keeps you busy outside of work?
Yeah. What are your pastimes? hobbies?
Right now I have a dog that I have to walk all the time.
Oh, cute.
So yes, walking the dogs tends to keep me busy.
Mhm.
And then yes, we're also renovating the house, so that keeps me busy a lot. So I have to buy a lot of things. Hence my all my frustrations with being able to connect with businesses. Yeah, anybody who's gone through a renovation knows how amazing that is. So yes, that keeps me very busy.
Oh, those
That's quite a lot,
yeah, that's quite a lot
of
to be
energy
bit
needed.
tedious, yeah. So anyway, Christina, what was your favorite subject in high school?
English language.
Okay.
But it was more like the favorite teacher, honestly, and she just
Ah.
came. Happened to come with English class. So,
I see.
Okay.
oops.
What's the best review about Viber? Best thing you heard about Viber?
Yeah.
People actually got married thanks to Viber. I mean, we had some. We had some people. Honestly, I can't remember from which part of the world right now. But they met through Viber, through groups of friends. So they had some friends in common, and they met through Viber, but only through Viber. And from there, obviously, they met in real life, and they ended up getting married.
Wow.
It's like, whoa, okay, let's.
So that's like Viber transitioning a bit as a dating app.
Yes, exactly. It's more
Yeah.
than dating. This is, sealing the deal.
Yeah. So, Christina, your favorite thing about working in the digital world?
Again, diversity and variety. I think it's given that it's such an international sector and it's such a diverse environment. We are luckier than most people, to be able to interact with a lot more diverse groups of people than our traditional businesses.
And then our last question. 3 words to describe Cristina.
Oh, you should ask this to my team, not to myself.
Okay.
That would be a challenge.
Oh.
But I don't know, what can I say? I'm being told that I'm very stubborn. Some people will roll their eyes because that's apparently an understatement. I'm quite, I'm like a dog with a bone. I go after what I want. And then the last one, what can I say? I do enjoy the public setup, so I think I enjoy being in front of an audience. Not very flattering things, ultimately.
So such a lover of learning.
Yeah.
You're a student forever.
And that sums up Christina.
Yes. So thank you, Cristina, for joining us today. We learned so much from Viber's development, from your management, your experiences, even a bit of something about living in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yes.
And we hope you enjoyed this chat as much as we did.
Yes, and of
Thank you
course,
so much.
We
It's
want to
been
go
great.
on and we want to go on and on and on. And of course, thank you mga katribo for tuning in. Watch Pairfect Live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on Daily Tribune's official Facebook page and on TribuneNow on YouTube. Thank you, Cristina.
Thank you both. It's been great being with you. So thank you so much.
All right.
So I'm Francine.
And I'm Alvin, and this has been
Pairfect.
Pairfect.